The country of Azerbaijan is drawing intense criticism for its cruel persecution of Christians. Well, world famous YouTube influencer Ruslan was born in Azerbaijan, and he joins us now to expose the harsh reality. So, Ruslan, this might be completely new for some folks, but what is happening to Christians in Azerbaijan?
There's been a long history of ethnic cleansing of Armenians who are Christians, Christian Armenians, kind of indistinguishable in that part of the region from Azerbaijan. This started decades ago. Back in the 1980s, me and my family were living in Azerbaijan, the capital Baku, and we experienced something called the pogroms of Baku in Baku, meaning that they displaced and got all of the Azerbaijan got all of the Armenians out there. And this goes all the way back with different tensions between Turkey and Armenians. This had some information coming out from allegedly Arzi's getting displaced from Armenians, but the conflict really is in the Nagorno-Karabakh region of Artsakh, which is on the eastern side of Azerbaijan. It's closer to Armenia, and there's this autonomous zone that the former Soviet Union established of like an Armenian colony in Azerbaijan. So imagine Armenia is a country in between Turkey and Azerbaijan. It's a Christian country, and then within Azerbaijan, which they try to claim is like a secular Muslim country, which it's not really. It's a totalitarian country. There was a little pocket of Armenian villages called they call it the Nagorno-Karabakh region, and so that group of Armenians at the end of 2023, right 2 weeks before October 7th, which is why most of the world didn't really hear about it. There's about 100,000 Armenians displaced from that region. And then October 7th happened, and they just didn't get much media attention. And so, over that little piece of land that was Armenian, and now they displaced those people, there has been constant fighting, and it goes all the way back to the Soviet Union, how they drew up these weird boundaries with autonomous zones and all this craziness. And so, it's a big mess in the geography, overland, and Armenians have unfortunately suffered the brunt of persecution from the Arzis.
So let me read you something from the Christian Post about this. It says, quote, statistics show that violence against Christians escalated sharply between 2024 and 2025, with incidents like the destruction of Christian buildings increasing from 3 cases to 7 within a year. Additionally, thousands of Christians were forced to flee their homes due to faith-related persecution. So you kind of mentioned this, but why does the media stay silent? Why does no one seem to care about the Christian persecution in the region?
Well, I think it's not just the Christian persecution. I think you have to add the ethnic element of Armenians, which they don't fall into any specific category, right? Armenians are not Arabs, though we have typically darker skin. We're not viewed as Europeans. We're this in between group that people don't really know how to categorize. And so I think it goes back to that. Oddly enough, this entire conflict is actually explored in the movie Between Borders that just came out in January, starring Elizabeth from The Chosen, the lady that plays Mary. She stars the lead character, and it explores this exact conflict. And so I think there's an overlap between ethnic identity and faith identity. And I don't think there's many Armenians left. If they are, they're underground. And so I think what could happen is we could start seeing this extend over to non-Armenian Christians in Azerbaijan, in terms of just there's a hostility towards Christians, mainly because there's a hostility towards Armenians, and then it could extend to non-Armenian Christians.
So this audience is obviously an international Christian audience, and I feel like the story of the Armenian people is just not talked about. It's just not known. I mean, very few people would even, if you said Armenian genocide, know what you're talking about. So maybe in this last question, Ruslan, what do you want folks to know around the world when it comes to the plight of the Armenian people?
Oddly enough, Armenians are the oldest Christian nation in the world, and it was established as an official Christian nation back in the year 300. And with that, unfortunately, has came a lot of persecution. It's came from persecutions from the Muslim conquest all the way to the Young Turks and what happened in the 1915 genocide. And it was not just Armenians; it was also Syrians. But you're talking about millions and millions of lives lost. And this was the genocide that inspired Hitler, because he thought, well, no one remembered the Armenians. That was a quote from him. And so April and is Armenian Genocide Commemoration Month. The crazy part is this is something that isn't even recognized wasn't recognized by the United States up until several years ago. So the world has kind of been silent on this for the majority of time, and it's the biggest, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, slaughter of Christians globally. When we're talking about millions of Christians getting slaughtered.
Well, Ruslan, thank you so much, my brother. And is there any place or resource or information that people want to learn more about the Armenian plight, more about the Armenians genocide, more about what's happening with Christians in Azerbaijan? Is there any place that people should go?
Yeah, I have a couple videos. Me and my buddy Arthur from Apologia Center have done a couple of videos. I think his channel is a great resource. He does a lot of great outreach work to Armenians in Armenia as well as Armenians here. And so I would refer people to check out my conversation with Arthur from Apologia Center and check out his channel as well of Apologia Center.
Appreciate it, my brother.
Thank you so much, Raj.